Well, hi everybody. Paul M. Neuberger, the founder of C-Suite for Christ. Thank you so much for blessing us with your time and attention today. I know you're not hurting for things to do, so I pray that we're going to make this worth your while. This is the third in a three-part series where we focus on one of my all-time favorite people. His name is Bingo Emmons. He runs Creative Construction of Wisconsin. Not only has Bingo been a very solid contributing member to our ministry, but I personally and many other leaders within our organization have learned a lot from him. Not only based on, if you've listened to the second video of this series, the one that we just most recently did, a person who for the most part was always a believer, just a little bit more quiet, a little bit more timid, a little bit more, dare I say, shy, otherwise the absolute opposite of me in that regard. But he has really started to come on. He is really starting to come out of his shell, and I think we've learned a lot from him there. But the other thing that I want us to dive a little bit deeper into today is a topic called ethical leadership. He's one of the most ethical leaders I know, and I want him to help us unpack this very important topic. Brother Bingo, how are you today, sir?
Doing good.
So I hope I set you up well enough there. We're not going to disappoint the viewers or anything like that today.
I hope not.
So let's talk a little bit about ethical leadership. And I don't want to pick on your field necessarily, but I think one of the things that initially drew me to you when we first started our friendship was the fact that rather than just replace something, you guys focus on the repair, even though it might cost you a little bit of money, even though it might not be as big a job as it otherwise could be. And I know that not everybody in your industry follows the same suit. So why is it that if you could make a couple of extra bucks, why is it that if you could get a slightly bigger project, you don't do that, even though your customer might not even know? What is it about being ethical that is so important to you?
Do unto others as you want done unto you. Is what I believe in. There's a lot of salesmen out there. They care about their 8% or 9, whatever percentage that they're making, right? They care. That's what they do. They want to sell you a roof, right? When you just want it fixed, you just want it repaired, right? I mean, same thing with window guys. I said this before. I believe in just fixing the problem. For us, it's plaster holes. If you call a competitor of ours to come in and to fix the kitchen ceiling or something, they're going to tell you, oh, you got to take this out. You got to put all new drywall in here. There's nobody knows how to do it. Well, that's not true. We know how to do it. We know how to fix it. We can fix it, and it'll last way longer than drywall.
This may be somewhat of an obvious question, but where did you learn this style of ethical leadership? Was it a particular person? I know this is a multi-generation family business, but usually people emulate behavior that they've seen. Who kind of taught you the importance of an ethical leadership style?
My mom. My mom was that way too. She would have little sayings that people would say stuff. Like somebody would call up and, hey, come over and give me a real good price on this job, and I'll give you more work. My mom would be like, why don't you give me a good price on this job, and I might work for you again. That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And how has that permeated Creative Construction of Wisconsin? How has that ethical leadership really kind of taken root and become part of the corporate culture? What does that look like here?
Well, we turned it up a notch. From the way it was growing up in the old days to now, we turned it up way up a notch. There's you got contractors out there. You can't not watch the TV channels that show you that some contractor ripped this guy off. This guy did this. They did that. They're out there. They're everywhere, right? But you don't want to be one of those guys. You got those contractors that I watch them. They'll come into the house, they'll bid it real low just to get in the door, and then it's, oh my gosh, I didn't know this. They got they open up a wall and say, oh my, I didn't know. We never do that. This is what we do. We say we're going to do that. That's what we're going to do, and that's what we do. It's just, it's just real simple ethics, right? What do you want people to do? Sometimes people leave money out. Yes, we'll see it sometimes. A lot of times my son's like, man, are these guys taunting us? But sometimes there'll be like money sitting on a counter, there'll be money sitting on top of a washer or dryer, just change on the stairs or something like this, right? And we'll literally just work around it. It's just because we don't want to be known as someone that steals stuff. There's people that will, there's competitors out there that will, they'll go to a job, they come back with more ladders than you started with. They're just out there, and I don't want to ever be that guy.
I mean, what you're saying really kind of reminds me of that famous saying, it takes a lifetime to build a reputation, but just a second to lose it. You know, is losing that reputation worth that extra ladder? Is it worth those $7 and some odd change that are on a counter? And obviously, from what you're saying, the answer is a resounding no.
Well, some people, that's what I like about with Jesus. Some people don't, well, it's that, who cares? Well, he cares, right? You know, I mean, our workers, he cares. You know, you say, well, what's the difference? They got so many of them, they're not going to know. You know, or something like, whatever it is, they say, got all this stuff over there, I don't want to ever be that way, because stealing is stealing. And you don't ever want to be stealing, because it's, the end result is not good.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. When it comes to ethical leadership, whether it be an employee in an organization that is run by somebody, maybe it's an everyday person that is hiring an organization like yours, what would you say are 2 or 3 traits of an ethical leader? I know everybody's different. I know everybody has different backgrounds. It kind of manifests itself uniquely for each person. But if you were to put a lot of the ethical leaders in a bucket, what are 2 or 3 things that those individuals would have in common, would you say?
I like the leaders that lead by example. They don't do it themselves. There's, to billing purposes, right? You could be billing a customer, you could add a couple hours here and there. I mean, how would, the customer might not know, the workers won't know, nobody will seem to know, but you'll know. I mean, it's just things like that. Don't do it yourself either. We always talk about the time and material jobs. Workers be like, oh, well, I'm going to hang around here to 8 o'clock. I'm going to hang around to get my 8 hours. You don't want that. You don't ever want to be doing it, because to us it's stealing. We talk about that. Actually, me and my son just talked about that just recently about workers. 2 guys going to get material. But why? That's like stealing from the homeowner, right? You're stealing from the company. You're stealing from somebody, because you're paying 2 guys to sit in a truck, right? Let that guy stay back. He don't want to stay there. Well, I mean, think about it, right? That's stealing, right? Let him stay at the work. You don't need 2 guys to go get 1 gallon of paint. That kind of stuff. Well, that's the things that we discuss in our realm of our business.
Yeah, and I think what you're kind of talking about is the difference between short-term and long-term, and then I think some people just can't get out of that short-term mindset. If I have those 2 people that go to get the materials, that's a little extra money in the short term. If I have somebody else run an errand, that's a couple of extra hours in the short term, but I think they might miss that, well, what I might gain in the short term, I lose in the long term. Whereas what you're saying is, well, let's charge a little less. Let's do this ethically, honestly, openly up front, because we know long term we're going to reap more results because of that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's like when we do time and materials. I mean, if a guy forgets something, right? He came to a shop, picks up a truck, he goes to his job, he goes, oh, I forgot a ladder. I got to go back. We don't charge the customer that. And the workers know we don't charge the customer for that. And they're all on board with that, because to me, that's stealing, because you made a mistake. And I believe we're being rewarded for not doing that.
Now, is that common practice where people might charge for a forgotten item? Because I would think, hey, goofball, you forgot it, and I got to pay for your mistake. Does that happen fairly often?
Not that often, but I'm just saying that those are some of the examples that can run up our job price. Especially, we do a lot. We do insurance work. You do things that are, it's time and material, and you don't ever want to charge a customer for your mistakes. Mm-hmm. And that seems to work out very well for us.
Sure. Well, and one of the things that you had said that I kind of want to dive a little bit deeper on, you had said following this ethical behavior, making sure that you're following the golden rule is really benefiting you personally. It's also benefiting the organization professionally. How specifically?
Well,
how is that coming to be?
A long time ago, I'd be worried about people leaving money around stuff, but I just don't now with this crew. We have a store in our part of our office here, right? It's on honor system, right? They're only open Fridays and Saturdays, an outlet store, but he lets us buy whatever they want. And the guys, by the time you'll leave, you'll see there'll be $50-$60 on there by Friday, by the time that guy opens up. And they're very proud of them. They're being honest, they're just paying their things. And I like that, because it's good character, because we work in homes that are, sometimes very, very expensive homes. People give us a key to their house, is, well, we're going to Europe. Here, go fix up my house. And they trust us. And that's a good feeling.
So a bit of a two-part question here for you. One, how would you define integrity? What does integrity mean to you specifically? And then two, when you look at boardrooms and executive offices in companies all across the world, do you think enough leaders today have integrity, or is that an attribute that's in short supply, would you say?
As far as integrity goes, I believe there's a lot of people out there that have it. They're just not following it because there's no reason not. I mean, they're in their minds. They're like, okay, this is right. This is what other people do, right? Like I'll use time and material as an example because it seems to be one where people are afraid, about time and material because you can always add time, you can add materials, you can say I did this, you can say I did that, right? There's people out there that will go out and do a job, right? They'll grab an extra bag of cement, they'll grab an extra, take one home, right? They'll go order stuff, right? Lumber, carpenters, I'm talking about a typical carpenter on a construction company could go over to a store, buy it, and put three extra 2x4s, leave them in the truck for his side job on the way home. There's a lot of people that do that, right? I don't want our guys to ever be like that, and I'm glad that they're not.
How do you go about making decisions day to day? Because I think, life is, sure, we all have big decisions to make from time to time, but I would argue that life is really just a bunch of small decisions. How you talk to somebody, how you respond to somebody, the choices that you decide to make or not make. As a believer, as somebody who puts Christ first, what does that discernment process look like? How do you make decisions trying to be a good follower of Jesus?
Well, I got to keep repeating myself. It's, treat others how you want to be treated. And that's what I do is I wish, people, like when I go to stores to buy stuff, I want them, to be nice if they could, sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not, and you always wonder, so it's, it'd be nice, right? Look at their name tag, say hi to them, and say, hey, how you doing, how you doing, Ron? It's just be nice, and it just snowballs, and it's part of what I learned from C-Suite. It just carries on. You see that they're better, right?
So to take it one step further, and this is probably the last question I have just based on the time that we have. So, and I don't mind that you repeat yourself because I do think some of these really important topics should be reinforced over and over. But it's obvious that you believe in the golden rule, that you want to treat others the way that you want to be treated. When you do that, how is your life better? When you treat other people nicely, when you're a man of integrity, when you go the extra mile for other people, how is that coming back to you personally and professionally?
I'm just a happier person. Every once in a while, we get a person, it just happened to us last week. We have someone that sent us a check for like $8,000, right? They already paid us. Yeah, I could have put it in the bank, right? And a long time ago, I might have, right? But you just can't, right? You just can't. How does it make me a better person? I just feel better about everything I do. I feel better in my children, see by example what I'm doing. Right? I got a granddaughter. They're going to say, hey, like I said, treat others how I want to be treated. What I do is I go to a customer, I talk to them, and I treat them how I wish they would treat me if I was a customer of me.
Well, you're only one person, Bingo, but you're leading by example, you're touching lives, you're making the world a better place, and it's certainly a blessing to have you within the C-Suite for Christ ministry. And this is one of the things that I would invite you as well. Really two parts in terms of where do we go from here. On the bottom of the screen, you're going to see Creative Construction of Wisconsin's website URL. Look, we all need stucco projects. We all need drywall. There's always a small job that needs to be fixed. You could pretty much work with a lot of different organizations to get that done. Why not work with somebody who's boldly and unapologetically Christian? So for any jobs that you might have, residential or commercial, reach out to Creative Construction of Wisconsin. But what for me is a breath of fresh air is to see somebody like Bingo talk about how integrity is cool, to talk about how humility is cool, how to be kind is cool. And he's just one of thousands of Christian business executives all over the world that are officially associated with our ministry. and we'd love for you to take that step as well. Again, at the bottom of the screen, this is our website, csuiteforchrist.com. You can become an official member, attend one of our monthly gatherings, plant a chapter of our ministry in your neck of the woods, and the list literally goes on and on. But whatever you do, do something, because we're better together, we're stronger together, and we're going to cover the world in Christ together. God bless you guys. We'll see you back here next time.